All right, folks, we got the cast from the Michael movie, and they did a behind the scenes sort of question and answer session. And this one is going to talk about some of the family bonds and capturing Michael's essence when they were filming the movie. So, yeah, let's check this out and we can react to it in real time. I have not seen this yet. I don't know if you have, but I have not seen it yet. So, let's check it out. I'll react to it and speak on what I think as we watch it. And you can share what you think in the comments below.
Q, can you lower the lights for me, please?
Okay, but remember, in here, keep those feet still, my man.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jacqueline Coley, and I want to welcome you to Fandango's big ticket interview with the cast and filmmakers of Michael. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Antoine, sir,
Hello.
I would like to start with you because there has been probably miles of things written and filmed about Michael Jackson, tons of documentaries. What about this story do folks have to look forward to now that we're getting to see him in a live action biopic?
I think it's the most intimate film, for sure, made about Michael Jackson. Something that really gives you some insight into who he was and his personality and some of his process, his creative process.
I know.
That's something that I'm interested in learning through this film. I think that we've had a lot of Michael Jackson, like actual sort of documentary behind the scenes footage, but as much of that as we've seen, we haven't had something that sort of dives into what he was thinking when he was making some of this, the revolutionary and iconic music that he was coming up with at that time. Of course, he was helped by others, of course. Not to say that he was the only one that was, during and involved in this process, but I'm really interested to see more about how he what helped to mold some of the music that he made once he became not just a not just little Michael Jackson from the Jackson 5, when he branched out and became Michael Jackson, the king of pop.
You have to be a fan of Michael Jackson to be involved in a film like this, obviously. When you knew that you were going to be sitting behind the chair on this one, what was the thing you were most excited that you were going to get to capture?
Everything. Really. I got to hear that music every day,
Yeah.
and then I got this amazing cast, and that was it for me.
I mean, I don't know. To me, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. Yeah, as I've said multiple times in different videos, that everybody knows a lot. Now, I won't say everything. Everyone knows a lot about Michael Jackson, and they know a lot about his history. They know a lot about him as a person, just the way he moves, the way he talks. There are a lot of things that are known. So with that comes a lot of pressure. This isn't a story that no one knows about. I would say everything in this movie, if I had to guess, the super fans, if you're watching this video, I'm considering you a super fan. Us super fans, we know probably about 85 to 90% of everything that's going to be in this movie. Like everything that I'm, excited about, the 10% that I don't know. But inherently, there's a lot of pressure that comes with that. Everybody knows everything already. So what are you going to do that's going to be different? What are you going to provide that's going to give people something that they don't know? How are you going to make us 10 percenters happy? Look at that. I need shirts that like a Michael Jackson silhouette that says 10 percenter on it, because I just came up with that.
Amazing.
It's an amazing cast. And then probably one of the most daunting parts is finding two people in this case that can play one of the most famous men, most brilliant performers to ever live on planet Earth. And so, Jafar, no pressure, but you nailed it. I've seen it. How did this role come into your life, especially considering the family connection?
I grew up, surrounded by music and obviously listening to Michael's music. Then fast forward.
Now that's something I want to know. Like, how much did he really listen to, his dad and his uncle's music? Like, I would think at a certain point, like it's a little different. Like if I was involved in that family, maybe I wouldn't like the music as much as everybody else does, and wouldn't find it that crazy and iconic, because I'm sort of like 1 degree removed from it. Like if I was, if I was famous, I would think that my kids wouldn't really view me as being famous or really view anything that I do as special because it's just me doing it, and I'm their dad. So I wonder if that sort of bled over into Jafar, and being closely involved and related to somebody who knew his uncle very, very, very well. um I wonder if that plays a part in how involved or lack of involvement that he would have in Michael's music and his dad's music by proxy.
For years and years, I got a call from Graham King that he wanted to meet and discuss Michael, what he was working on at that time. And one conversation led to the other, and it ended up happening as I started working with the acting coach, and I didn't know anything about acting, and it was first really understanding what that is before even trying to dive into Michael.
All right, this might come off as wrong. I'm not trying to mean this as disrespect to anybody who's an actor, but I think that acting is probably a lot easier than we make it seem in our heads. Like, I think that acting is probably, and I'm not an actor. I used to do theater and stuff when I was younger and performed in plays and stuff, and the hardest part was memorizing the lines. The rest of that stuff was relatively easy. Like, I felt comfortable on stage. I knew how to speak, so that part was easy. And I would think that for the most part, being an actor isn't that difficult. Now, being a good actor is difficult. Being a great actor is crazy difficult. So I think that just someone being able to be an actor and pull that part of it off, I think that's possible. So I really want to know if Jafar is able to set himself apart as an actor in this film, or is he just going to be someone who looks like Michael and is able to act like Michael and speak like Michael, but doesn't really embody the character or the person that we know as Michael Jackson. So that's just one of the questions that I have. And like I said, this is just my natural reaction to this, man. I would love if I could do these types of things on a live stream, but YouTube is kind of against a lot of the copywritten stuff. So so I have to do them in videos like this. But yeah, join in the conversation below. Let me know what you guys think.
So I did that for about a year, and then I really honed in on what is Michael, the man behind all those classic songs that we hear that we're familiar with, and I was trying to discover the humanity in that first and foremost, and then really dissecting the moves and the mannerisms after that. But it was the longest process and, and the most challenging, but at the end of it, and I'm proud and honored to be surrounded by people that have that protection and that love and that care for Michael and for everyone on the set. And that was felt every day.
And you're
Yeah, that has to be crazy. I feel what he was saying, and then just to get a little insight into his process, and he wanted to learn the person of Michael first before he learned his mannerisms or before he learned his singing and his dancing, and I think that that's a sound approach to taking on something like this.
already getting rave reviews. Katherine Jackson said, "You embody Michael." I mean, what did you feel like when she said that, when she gave you that praise?
I got really emotional, and just to hear that and see it, when I saw her, she gave me a really big hug and said how proud she was, and to me that was everything. To have her.
Now that's cool. That's cool. That's something I hadn't heard before. Is that Michael's mom and his aunt were or that would be like grand aunt, yeah, was proud of him and what he was able to accomplish in this movie. So that says a lot. That says a lot, because I don't think that if it wasn't good, I don't know if she would have had anything to say. I think that's probably the nicest thing that someone can say when they don't approve of something that you do is nothing. So I would think that her being who she is, she'd probably come out and say like, nah, that was not good. So the fact that she was able to she was able to give her blessing to him says a lot about the movie.
Her seal of approval meant the world to me.
Mr. Colman Domingo, sir, you have the daunting task as well as playing Joe Jackson, somebody who, like, this man was feared by record executives.
Yes, I want to know the depth behind Joe Jackson. I want to know. I think he was portrayed or he's been sort of spoken about and portrayed in this light of a bully and abuser, and sort of one dimensional. I hope that there are multiple layers to him and that we get to see some of those extra layers that we don't necessarily know about, and that he isn't portrayed as just this one dimensional bully of a person who just so happened to um be the father of a great um a great group, and the father of the person who eventually became the king of pop.
And he's one of the most debated and talked about people in music history. But like you do with all of your characters, you bring a humanity and a tenderness and a real life vulnerability to him as well, along with all the
Yeah,
other
that's
stuff
what I
we
want to
see.
see.
How did you approach the duality of him as a man?
First of all, thanks for that statement. I think you have to approach him with a sense of humanity. I had to go on the interior life of Joe, look what made him, look what all his ways of being in the world and how he applied that into being a good father and wanting for his family and wanting for his family's success. And I think
Yep, and I think that that's there. He wanted his family to be successful. I think he also saw the dollar signs eventually behind the success of his family, but I think at the end of the day, and they sort of show it in the trailers too, that he was more so concerned about the success of the family as opposed to one individual person. So I think that he wanted his family to be successful. So that sort of to some degree turned down the star that Michael was and that everybody saw that was growing behind the scenes. And I think ever since he was a little kid, you knew that Michael was the star, and you just had to figure out how long he was going to stay with his brothers, because I think to some degree, and not intentionally, and I don't think that Joe intentionally did this either, but they were it sort of stymied his development as an artist and as a talent by continuing to be involved with his brothers. And like I said, it's no fault, it's not anyone's fault, but you don't really know what you know until you get out there and do it on your own. And once he was able to get out and do it on his own, he really took off.
Joe is from a very different generation as well, and I understood that by even examining my own stepfather. Sort of, these blue-collar, hard-working men who it was the wife's job to be soft and tender, but the men, by loving, was by having really high bars for the kids to set.
Now, this definitely struck a nerve with me. I think that my dad was the same way, not in the abusive way at all, but just having the high bar. My dad went out and worked every day, and my mom sort of gave me the emotional and the sort of tenderness that I needed behind the drive and determination that my father gave me. So yeah, it is that era of male, that era of black man that helped Michael turn into who he was. And you have to wonder that if he had an upbringing from someone who was a bit what's the word for it, a bit maybe softer, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but who was less harsh of a critic, who was less determined and more of a encourager as opposed to being a driver, would Michael have been successful? Like I just wonder about things like that. Like, did he have to go through all these sort of traumatizing sort of events to build him into who he was and turn him into the person who he ended up being? Or was there another path to him achieving that? Or would he, even if he had, a completely different upbringing, would he eventually had just as much success? Just wonder about things like that.
And for you to, to be a good citizen.
What do you
And I
guys
feel
think,
that
man?
that's
Let
the
me
way to
know.
show
Let me know in the
love.
comments.
So I looked at even my own life to find Joe and find men like Joe. So for me, it's not just Joe Jackson, but it's an amalgamation of all these other men that I know and admire. And sometimes I think that they're superheroes, but they don't get sort of the credit. They're just, you know what I mean?
You got that
I think
right.
they're looked at as being like, villainous in some way, but you have to really dissect and look at the man behind it. And so for me, I thought that was the task for me to find, because I know that Joe is shrouded in a lot of court of public opinion, and I thought my job as an artist is to bring out the humanity in Joe, which I do know, and really, it was beautiful to have conversations with Antoine and with Jafar as well, especially to know, how was he as a grandpa? Well, how did he make you laugh? How did you feel? All these different stories, so I got a real good composite of who he was.
Now see that gets me excited, man. That gets me excited. But besides Michael, I would say that Joe is the character that I want to learn the most about, and to learn some things that I don't know. And like I was saying, I know everything about Michael. I know 90% about Michael. As Joe, on the other hand, maybe 20%, maybe 30%. And that's only the stuff that we've seen portrayed through the media and through the other sort of dramatized movie, made for TV movie that, came out in I think that was the mid to late 90s. But yeah, so yeah, I'm interested to see how Joe is portrayed, and that depth of Joe Jackson, because I think we get a very one-dimensional portrayal of him previously, and I want to know those different layers.
Miss Nia Long, ma'am, you have, again, I feel like everyone in here, it's like no pressure, but these are people that folks know. But with yours, it's kind of the opposite. Katherine Jackson is not someone that folks really know, but for so many folks, they say that she is the emotional anchor of the family. I mean, she's even thanked in the notes of Thriller. The quote is, "This album is a loving dedication to Katherine Jackson." Talk about the relationship between Michael and his mother and how you brought that into the performance.
I think they had a very beautiful connection, and it started very early on. And I think a mother intuitively knows what each child needs. And so she saw something at a very early age in Michael that was different from the other children. And during that time in the 60s, it was a tough time for Black people. The backdrop is the civil rights movement, and she's got a hard-working husband. And so her baseline, I believe, with all of her children is love and grace. I really approached the character with that in mind, just the patience, the love, the grace, the softness. And my amazing director, who reminded me to stay in that space every single day.
And you know what? That role is so funny, that these archetypes of parents in the 60s, and also all the way through, I feel like with my parents into the 80s and early 90s, is that you had this sort of hardworking father, and then the mother who was sort of softer and more emotional support. And it's crazy to think, like, I've never really sat back and thought about it like that, but like that's legitimately like the same dichotomy that my parents had as well. Like I said, my dad was no Joe Jackson, though. Not at all. It's those bad parts definitely did not happen with my dad. But the softness, the caring, the empathy that my mother showed me and taught me are things that I have continued to show my children. And it's really cool to see how that sort of transcended. I think that this generation that we're in now, like, I think that me and my wife have raised our kids a little bit differently, but there are still so many lessons that I teach them that my dad and my mom have taught me. And that firmness that I give them comes directly from my dad and from my mom. And I will be darned if I don't instill those same values with my kids, so that then once they get older and they have their own kids, they can instill that in them as well. So that's totally not what this is about, but I just find that interesting that that's a theme, especially in Black family and Black households through the 60s, 70s, 80s, and probably early 90s, that those things existed. And they it's a little bit different now, though. It's a little bit different now.
There are a lot of times when you create a character, and then there are days when you take something home from the character. And I think what I learned from Katherine is the power of grace and quiet strength. And that is what that did for her children, was created a safe space.
Juliano, sir, this is your debut film, and I would imagine as a child performer, you're embodying one of the most famous child performers ever. But I think it's something that you can attest to, because you were kind of experiencing it yourself, playing Michael Jackson in this movie. So how did you get into that moment of portraying him at that time? And I mean, how much did you even know about Michael Jackson? I'm like, I don't want to shame you or anything, but
I know. Well, before I got the role, I knew a lot about Michael Jackson.
Okay. Yeah, I think everybody knows a lot about Michael Jackson, regardless. I've talked about it in previous videos, but I have 4 kids myself, and they all, to varying degrees, know who Michael Jackson is. Even my youngest, who's 6, knows exactly who he is. Can pick him out, hearing him, on the radio. If I just played his voice, she would know, his voice, and that just goes to show the power that that man still possesses, even though he's passed away and been gone for a long time. Um, and I think that this movie is going to renew a lot of that sort of passion and develop that love that so many of us of my age have for Michael, and instill it in a even younger generation and a younger population. So yeah, that'll be cool to see. And yeah, I'm interested to see how young Michael is portrayed in this movie, because like I said, we've seen a little bit. Big shout out to Jason Weaver, who's from my area, who played Michael in the miniseries, the American Dream miniseries. So yeah, big shout out to him. Can't wait to see what this young man is able to do, portraying Michael in this version.
And when I got the role, it was like a dream come true. Like, imagine you're just a kid who listens to Michael Jackson, and you're up at 9 a.m. Hey, beat ass, stuff like that, and you just get the role. Hey, Juliana, you're Michael Jackson, and I'm like, what? And just to embody Michael Jackson is a dream come true for me. And I'm just very grateful that Antoine Fuqua trusted me with the role of Michael Jackson.
I mean, I'm very glad now at the Academy Awards they have a casting award, because a film like this is definitely a testament to how you find people to embody these real life figures. But it goes beyond that. Let's talk about the music. I mean, this film follows Michael from his days in the Jackson 5 to the early days in his solo career. For you, Antoine, sir, what was the part that when you were revisiting it or learning more about Michael that you found to be the most surprising about him during the period that's in the film?
Surprising, I think, how lonely Michael was at times. That was surprising. The scene when he's with Bubble playing Twister, or when he asked his brothers would they play Twister with him, when he was with his rat when he was a kid. You never think about Michael Jackson as being lonely.
Yeah, this film definitely shows a lot of that. I mean, just who's...
Yeah, you don't. And I think for us who know a lot about his life, we do know, and it has been well documented, that he was very lonely, very depressed at different points in his life. And it's amazing that somebody who seems to have everything, who is known by everyone, loved by almost everyone, and to still have that emptiness and still want and to long for something that so many of us have, and that he didn't have, even though he had everything else. Like, it's crazy to think about it like that.
Around him, I mean, it's his security guard and his family, and that's kind of it. Jafar, and I want you to also speak about this too, Antoine. Y'all have to recreate some moments that are seared in the minds of people like myself. I mean, everything from his moonwalk performance to videos, but one I think most people are going to be thinking about, and that's Thriller, which, as Michael said, was a short film. I mean, he hired an actual film director to be a...
Legendary. Just want to share that I remember when Thriller was released, they showed it on TV. They interrupted everything on TV for the video to be released. It was a thing. I remember when the Bad video came out, it was the same way. I believe it was released on CBS, and it was prime time. Hey, Michael Jackson's video is about to come out. We don't really have moments like that anymore. So it's crazy that that things have changed so much, and that this dude was this big and this popular back then that he could literally stop everything, and you had to focus on him and what he was doing, and then he ended up delivering. That's it's crazy.
Part of it. So what was it like recreating Thriller? Again, no big deal. But also great wish fulfillment too. Great wish fulfillment.
Oh my God, it was probably one of the most memorable moments for me, given that we were shooting from sunset to sunrise, 2 nights in an exact location where he shot in East Los Angeles. I had to really tell myself, wow, I'm recreating the most iconic short film.
Same location. Did not know that. I thought that was a set. That's awesome.
There's some pressures. You want to obviously nail it, and there's a reference. They can go on YouTube and look at the real Michael Jackson doing it. But with that, I wanted to feel it. And as long as I felt it, that I knew I was in the right place. If I'm doing the move and I'm not feeling it, then something's off. But I just grounding myself and also just being surrounded by the zombies there at night and seeing you know, Antoine and all, you know, the crew and just throughout the whole entire night, just seeing it be recreated and seeing the excitement on their face. I knew we're recreating something very special.
I mean,
Had to be grueling, man. Had to be grueling. Like that. I think now I just got through saying that, you know, I thought acting was easy, but I think that the long hours and stuff, that has to be difficult. I have a friend, one of my best friends, who's an actor and just recently filmed a movie. And he was telling me how the shooting for the movie took place over about a 3-week period, and he was pulling like, you know, 12, 14, 16-hour days. Like, that's grueling. That's rough. So I can only imagine how difficult it is in a situation like this, where you have a multi-million-dollar budget, you have all this makeup that you have to do, you have all these scenes that you have to nail perfectly, and to do that over, you know, like a 2-day period, that's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure, and I think Jafar nailed it.
movie making is a little bit like jazz. Like, you kind of know what you want to play, but then you just play with what you do. But when you're doing the thriller, like, no, it's not. Like, this has to be, like, I'm like,
Gotta
we can
nail
talk
it.
about the joy. Let's talk about the pain, sir. What you have to do, because you know that the videos, you knew it when you were making it. They're going to line this up on TikTok, and they're going to put the one video on top of the other. I better get this right. So how did you ensure that? Because that's a lot of camera work.
Well, just working with the crew, working with Jafar and the dancers and Graham, we took our time with it. You know, we had a full moon both nights. I knew it was going to work when I pulled up to the set the first night, and the moon was out. The sun was just going down. It was a full moon, and half the crew was dancing around with Wolfman costumes on and all this. The whole crew was just partying to Thriller.
I want to see the behind the scenes like stuff with this. I know like we don't really get DVDs or Blu-rays that have like behind the scenes footage and stuff anymore. That's one of the things that has been lost over the last like 10 years, is that we don't really get that stuff anymore. But I would love to see like a full making of this movie and how it was done, and the care that they've obviously put into it, and the way that everything was done. I want to see all of it. I want to absorb everything about this movie. So I hope that at some point they release something like that.
So I knew that the crew, as well as the dancers and Jafar and everyone, was going to be on point. We were excited about it. So we took our time with it and got it just right. And Jafar and the dancers they did an amazing job.
So everyone's seen it now, right? Everyone's seen the film? Okay, so they haven't. The folks watching this haven't. But
Nope, I haven't.
let's just imagine that we're them for a second. Because I had, you know, moments where I was like, I can't believe they did this. Which moment from Michael's life that's in the film are you most excited for audiences to see? And I'm going to go around to everyone. Mr. Coleman Domingo, I'll start with you, sir.
There's an iconic moment that I don't know, maybe I feel like I've seen in the news or something like that, or a video feed of him standing in New York City, standing on top of a car.
Yeah.
In that military outfit, like something about like the size of and scope of that. Of like, yeah, I remember that
dope.
sort of fandom. Like that's
striking.
Like, that's superstardom. You can't get out and move anywhere. And I feel like that image, for some reason, when I saw it in the film, I thought like, I feel like I've seen that image. And that's when you knew he was like a deity, you know? Yeah.
Jafar, what about you? Besides Thriller, maybe.
Right. That's a tough question. I would say the quiet moments where they're not expecting to see, you know, a new side of Michael, a very intimate and personal, behind some of those iconic moments, leading into it, and that allows the audience to get into Michael's mindset and feel what he was feeling in those moments.
I mean, there's some beautiful, intimate, dramatic moments that I could pick, but I think Bad would be the one for me. And the reason is because it meant freedom for Michael. There's a freedom in Bad. That's when he really starts to spread his wings.
Yeah, and I think that's probably around the time where they're gonna end the movie too. Man. Maybe they'll pick it up with in the second one with the Dangerous album, and you know, deal with some of the Lisa Marie Presley stuff, and you know, him becoming a father eventually, and some of the other, you know, not so savory aspects of his life. So interested to see how that goes, and would they get Jafar to play that role too, or would Jafar be against it? Like, that's interesting. I got questions. What do you guys think too? If you're hanging this video this long, like, what do you guys think?
Every time I see it, it gives me joy.
You know, I never knew that Michael spent so much time with his spiritual side, with his personal affirmations. And that was like something that I learned in watching the film. And I really just love that because I think self-talk is so important in how you see yourself.
Something I
for
don't do
yourself
enough
and
of,
how you're
man.
seen in the world.
I think I have a
So
positive
that was pretty beautiful.
outlook and a positive viewpoint for my life, but I don't do affirmations as much. And I have to give my wife credit because she gives our daughters, you know, positive affirmations that they do daily before school. Like it's routine. They do it. They get in the car and they just start doing it. Like, and those things matter. They matter.
Reminds us to like do positive self-talk.
Yeah, oh yeah. We need our affirmations.
Yeah. Now you're on the spot, kid.
Yes. Yes. I would say Coleman's answer, staying on top of the car, that was just, you know, really awesome. And just to see how many fans he had, you know that Michael Jackson's a really big deal. And to make a movie that's about Michael Jackson, a slice of his life, that's really good, you know.
It's really dope. My favorite is actually the moonwalk. I can't believe none of y'all said that one because I'm like, first of all, you had to moonwalk, sir. Like, let's.
And he had it down.
I know.
Down.
So I'm gonna ask you, with all of the stuff that you have to do in this movie, what was the one that made you the most nervous, if there was one, or you just looked at it as all like, you got to bite the elephant one bite at a time?
Out of all the performances,
Yeah.
I would say it was the Billie Jean Motown 25 performance. That was the most. I guess I was the most in my head only because I had to, you know, go frame by frame of what he did on Motown 25. So it was very specific.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah, even like the head and neck movements, like with him doing the moonwalk, that had to be on because all of us have seen it, all of us know it, and if he comes on there and he's not doing it right, we're gonna call it out. And like just like she said, that's like, you know, they were gonna have the TikTok side by sides, you know, lined up and say, oh nope, that wasn't it. But yeah, from everything that I've seen so far, he's nailed it.
another iconic one because he's not free yet in that one, but he's stepping into it. He's
Yes,
definitely leading
yeah.
it. One of the things I think is great about this film and things that we love at Fandango is that people can see it in so many different formats. They're going to get to see it in 4DX and Dolby. And so I'm just curious if you have a favorite that you want to advise, Mr. Antoine.
IMAX.
IMAX.
But tell them why.
IMAX.
Tell them why. Like, this is
Well-
the pitch to the theaters. And again, we love
Well,
the movie
you have
theater
to
people.
experience Michael's life on the big screen in the most epic way to really feel it, to really be present. You'll feel like you're at a concert.
I'll have my IMAX tickets.
in
I know that for
like,
sure.
As immersive as you can get.
One of the things I think is incredible is this.
And the sound too. The sound is better in IMAX theaters, so gotta see it that way.
It's just a great like music video basically for all of Michael's incredible moments, and we get to find out more about him as a person in between all of that. But this is a man, and like between the Jackson family, over 150 million albums sold. This is an impact that's already reverberated throughout the world. As sort of like a last word on this, I'm curious for you all what you hope that audiences take about that impact and what it means now that we're kind of revisiting it.
I would say that there's no limit to what you can achieve, no matter who you are.
Michael was all about love. And his concerts and his music and his life was about bringing people together and helping others.
Yeah, they you can definitely tell that they've taken the more positive spin on and not that there's, you know, a whole bunch of negative stuff that needs to be brought to light, but I like that they're focusing on that aspect of Michael and bringing that aspect of him to this current generation of people who may not be as familiar with him as, you know, people of my age are.
Michael gave over $1 billion to hospitals for children and things like that. So I think love is what I'm hoping people really feel and understand what Michael was about.
I would say this film reminds us to connect and respect to humanity. And although you can see someone in front of you who can captivate this big audience, when they go home, they're still human. And I think this film really shows Michael in that way, the human side of him and the incredible amount of pressure he had on him to perform.
Yeah, that
And
pressure
so
had to
the
be
film
incredible,
represents
man. That had to
joy,
be crazy.
Because joy is freedom.
And then to do as many shows as he did, and to come out and have to perform that way every time. It's one thing if, like, if you're an actor, like you have this movie and this film, and that you have this certain amount of time that you're going to be doing it. But if you are a performer who is, you know, a musical artist, like you have to go out here night after night after night and give this same you know, level of legendary performance and not let these fans down. And I feel like Michael gave his all to not let people down. And you know, he gave everything he could to be the best, and he ended up being the best.
And that's what Michael embodied on that stage.
I would say Michael's the great connector around the world. Every person knows a Michael Jackson song. Every single person, I believe. And what a beautiful time to bring us, to have a moment to bring us together, to go to a theater.
There you go.
Be in a
Love
dark
it.
space and
Love
celebrate
it.
music, celebrate joy.
We do
celebrate
need some
this
stuff to bring
impact.
us together these
And,
days, man. It's
really,
rough out here.
Sit across from someone else who's humming the same tune you are, and you see how we're more alike than unalike. What a beautiful time for a film like this.
I don't think there's any other way to
Five, brother.
Yeah, man, that was great. That was great. I'm glad that I sat and watched this whole thing. I'm glad that you decided to hang out with me and watch this entire thing too. Just know that this channel, Watch Stuff With Us, is one of the best places to be on all of YouTube to check out anything and everything for Michael content. I have a playlist. Go check out that playlist. It'll be tagged on this video. Check it out. Be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, drop those comments, join the conversation with me, and just know that Watch Stuff With Us will be in the mix in 2026 and your spot for anything and everything Michael movie 2026. My name is JD. Big shout out to everybody at Fandango for allowing me to watch and react to this, and I will see you when I see you. Peace and love.